poetry with jazz drum accompaniment. Thanks to Casey. I figured I should give a little background because these poems are very meaningful to me. I am personally a Palestinian American. My family is from the village of Luban Ash-Shabriya, which is in the northern West Bank, and they fled in 1953 due to fear of massacre. We have not been back since, and I was born in Jordan myself. I moved when I was 4. So these poems are all relating to Palestine in some way, and yeah, so I hope you enjoy. So this first poem, this was the first poem I ever wrote about Palestine. I wrote it when I was 15. And it's not the best poem, but it is filled with emotion. It was written in response to violence in the city of Jenin. So here's the first poem. Jenin. A white phosphorus cloud coats the sky as it coats an infant's skin and outside. As a Hebrew word is shouted, as an Arabic prayer is whispered, Bismillah! Bismillah! Beings treated as rabid animals, as a rabid dog tears at the skin of a teen, as brown tan flesh turns to blood-stained leather, dead meat, nothing but an aleph. Jenin, a demolished home. Jenin, a child in tears. Jenin, a Kassanet member, laughs in her face as he sleeps with no trouble on his mind, sleeps with it for her blanket. Jenin! That is the first poem. Okay, so the second poem is called Looney Tunes. It was the first poem I wrote around October 7th, and it's about the sounds of war. Okay, here we go. Birds' calls encapsulating the crying children's screams. Tweet, tweet, tweet! And trees falling, sounding like bombs dropping. Swallow you! Thump, blam. I would have written out the screams, but no words do them justice. You can only hear them and never forget them. What is the second part? Here is the third poem. It's called Middle Doors. It's about a confrontation between a soldier and a civilian, an Israeli soldier. Okay, here we go. Middle Doors. When a soldier's at your door, what do you say to them? In their moss webbing and with dust-shined rifle, old as the blood it spilled, but glimmering as the blood sits dried in carpets. What do you do when their helmets cover their eyes and it's thicker than the ice? Do you pull it up to see their dope-y grin turn white and whiter and downward, gum showing and all? Would you risk life and dignity to have the last scream, but with no enthrall? Bombs do not whistle through the sky like a distant woodpecker knocking trees, for to end is not a bang, but a whisper. But they fall too close not to hear their thud, and you wonder if you and your soldier will live through your teeth. This next poem, this is a very short poem. We don't even need drum accompaniment for this one. It's a haiku, so it's very short. It's an anti-war haiku, anti-genocide haiku. Guns sit on tall poles, the fire's on, cold leaves cover triggers. Okay, so that was a very short poem. This next poem is a bit longer. This one was actually meant to be vocalized. It's a slam poem. Let me find it. Sorry. Okay, this poem is called Do You Condemn Hamas? Do you condemn Hamas? I was asked as I mourned through an internet cafe where the coffee is red blood. Do you condemn Hamas? Their voices were tenser with the scraping of our rebar. I just sat there and continued to mourn. Do you condemn Hamas? The monolithic menagerie continued, angrier now as they crowded me like rubble. I just sat there and slumped forward over. Do you condemn Hamas? They were now yelling. Their voices grated my ears. As their bullets punctured my brother's eyes for 80 years. I just sat there and continued to cry. As they shouted and shouted, my eardrums broke. The ceiling collapsed in, for they had gotten too loud, and their gunpowder smoke risen too high. And now there was more blood, either white and blue. I would say I frowned, but I was crushed too. Do you condemn Hamas? Is what spat at my people. But we don't take our licks sitting down, and we may do nothing but sigh. For even a breath is too loud for those who think all we say is die. And for those who want us to do nothing but die. Okay, this next poem is called The Elderly. It's about my desire to visit Jerusalem. Okay, here we go. The Elderly. Bury me in Jerusalem, as in throw my body in the streets, light a candle in my name, burn it for 8 days, and wail at my passing. Let me rot amongst my kin, and in front of those who shared blood with me, does not even go back kin. Prep me not. Formaldehyde, who needs it? Immortalized by the imprint, my back will be on the wall. Put my back to the floor, or at least upright, so my eyes will bulge. So I can stare at the whole teacher of the Torah, HaTorah. But I will be with 2 legs. He will be with 1. Bury me in Jerusalem. My corpse will be Hasmodean. Woo! Okay, this next poem, this is the most recent one, and as y'all may know, in the Gazan genocide recently, fuck Israel, there has been a lot of talk of real estate development, and there's even been property being advertised, like beach real estate, and this poem is about it. It's called Beachfront Housing. Okay, here we go. Beachfront housing. Tar blobs about in my mouth. I clench my jaw, sticky with rust. Numerous sayings, none of which I understand. Arabic is not my homeworld. I smile, my coffee bone teeth, but dull against the titanium housing. Gray as my father's hair, as matte as my teeth. Catching a flare from the sand or the sun. My lips parted with the ease of a beam to hit the earth. My teeth cannot part without forming black bubbles. My tongue is glued to the roof of my crimson housing. My gums are clean from the disinfectant in the sand. A small gold and blood falcon is trapped between my jaws. Its spilling wings beat against my interior stretchings, cramping. It sits hunched by my 180 degrees, talons scratching my strips of tetherings. The beak is missing. There are no birds in those strong metal units, empty of all alphabets. Their tongues are still there, made for laughter. The falcon pushes against my smile. Nothing comes from it. The tar sits there still, coating with the full body thrashing. I just stand there in the sand, thinking I will never scream again. spread the love around for Palestinian poetry, I'm going to read some poems that are not of my own, but rather of other Palestinian poets, because I feel it's important to demonstrate that I am not the only one standing against this, and I'm not the only one whose family's been affected. I must show the suffering of all of us, because if I only show the suffering of one of us, then it really doesn't matter. This poem, I thought I had it pulled up, but I do not, so let me find it. Okay, this poem is pretty famous. It got spread around Instagram. It's by the Palestinian poet Noor Hindi. Can we give it up for Noor Hindi? Okay, it's called Fuck Your Lecture on My Craft. My people are dying.
I'm so sorry.
Huh? Oh. Okay, here we go. Colonizers write about flowers. I tell you about children throwing rocks at Israeli tanks seconds before becoming babies. I want to be like those poets who care about the moon. Palestinians don't see the moon from jail cells and prisons. It's beautiful, the moon. They're so beautiful, the flowers. I pick flowers for my dead father when I'm sad. He watches Al Jazeera all day. I wish Jessica would stop texting me. Happy Ramadan! I know I'm American because when I walk into a room, something dies. Metaphors about death are for poems who think ghosts care about sound. When I die, I promise to haunt you forever. One day, I'll write about flowers like we own them. Okay, thank you. And now I'm going to read two poems by Zakira Muhammad. Can we give it up for Zakira Muhammad? Yeah! Okay, here we go. This is the first poem. It's simply titled One. I caught a glimpse of you as I ran. I had no time to stop and kiss your hand. The world was chasing me down like I was a thief, and it was impossible for me to stop. If I had stopped, I had been killed, but I caught a glimpse of you. Your hands a stem for narcissus and a glass of water. Your mouth unbuttoned. Your hair a soaring bird of prey. I caught a glimpse of you, but I had no matches with me to light a bonfire and dance around it. The world was failing me, abandoning me, so I didn't even wave at you. One day, the world will settle down. The crazed cable channels will stop broadcasting, and those that hound me will disperse, so I can return to that road, the one where I caught a glimpse of you. I'll find you in the same chair, your hands a stem of narcissus, your smile a bird of prey, and with you beneath the shade of your apricot, I'll tear down the tent of my orphanhood and build a home. From Kushban. Their second poem, the Zakira Muhammad's second poem, is it's simply entitled Two. Here we go. Two. Night is a generous friend. All things loosen their vines over my head. My beloved, who are seated around me as if we're at a celebration. My beloved who have passed. My beloved who are here. And beloved yet to come. And death is a watchdog chained at the gate. Only the Kamasin winds beat angrily at the door. Kamasin is a loathsome mazer. I raise a wall between us, turn out the lights between us. I am happy, singing like a rod in ephedria, crying out like a raptor. Do not believe my words. Don't reach out to the vines in the darkness. Night is a patch of horrors. 10 birds sleep in the tree, but one anxiously circles over the house. And as you know, one bird suffices to destroy an entire celebration. One match to burn down a civilization. The meal was cold. I rinsed my mouth out afterwards with Kamasin and washed my hands with lightning. If there was any use in weeping, I would have wept before you all. But weeping requires more energy than we possess, so I will sing for you like tender Saba wind. I'll sing in the vernacular of a young basil stem. Night in a stone of amber. Night is a pact of marbles. From Alanda, El Dracula. Okay, this next poem is called Innocent Despair. It's by Jadal Al-Qasim. Can we give it up for Jadal Al-Qasim? Okay, here we go. It's called Innocent Despair. When separate from my blood, you will ache. Sorry, when separate from you, my blood will ache. An unknown part of me will ache. And I'll try to kill it, or grab it. The cell that misses you will throb in me, and I won't be able to spot it. It changes positions often, drags out the game, hurts my senses. My eyesight will worsen, my auditory ranges will dwindle, and my nose, a hunting dog, will search for your smell. Whenever air touches my skin, a fiend will pierce my body and flee. My head will vanish, but not die. My ache will regenerate my head. I'll grow sad, an invisible feeling, a ruin, infinite overflow of dread. The angry universe will collect itself in a corner of my life to ask me, what have you done with the scale of love? How did you waste openness on detail? The answer will hurt me, as will silence. Burning, I'll go to my death and demand my night to a nap. To a nap. Ramallah. Thank you. Yeah! And now I'm going to read some poems that are still related to Palestine, but are a bit more abstract in their relation. These are all very new and in my new sort of abstract style. This first one is called For Albert Ayler. If anyone does not know who that is, that was a freeform jazz saxophonist. And it's about liberation, because to me, I find freeform jazz to be the ultimately liberating form of music. Here we go. Cobra spit mixes in the silo with the grain. It sits above the bars with the roof poured out to make room for the bell top. Unbending, unbending, there is no room for the non-dead serpent running through the air. It's like wrenching a bronze Torah. Slaughtered scales come back from the Great Lakes. There's a shortage of famine this year. So there will be no great triumph in the Finelli bars. An alligator teeth will make do for star sticks. It's plastic, you know. Woo! Woo! Okay. Is called Paschal Rioting. This is about Palestine and the church. Okay, here we go. The walls were just as white like a wedding dress, or drywall. Standing still in the fresh shoes, pink mouth agape, agape, but never mind. Hearing the streets weeping for the red eggs of morning. Trumpets, flattened trumpets, plastered deep edges everywhere. Gray blunt smoke loosened from its tobacco by hands plasters these walls, towering like well-suited churchmen to a newborn. Looking into a window, it's too high for me to ever see him from. I just listen for the sound of bodies hitting the gray concrete. Black with the night and black with the old blood plastering. Lights going out. Miscut with blood adorning everything. Queen bees are passed across us. All two of us dead, standing. None of us allergic to anything but the reeking of all killing. But no corpses were beyond the altar, drowned out by the capital T. Ghosts rising and drizzling from the ceiling. Sweet-smelling candles now picked up from our old seats with red cushions. Flames now too bright to see the eye staring from across. I turn my head to make it so that my ears cannot hear it. Teeth hitting the ground outside, splashing rain puddles. Flames snatching my swinging hair, crawling up it, a hand brushing it, crash audibly sweeping the floor. My ears turn towards the altar and the locked door. I cannot hear anything but the tick of a bone spur. Finally, some rest. Woo! And now we have the last poem. This poem, it's a prayer poem. It's a Jewish prayer poem because while I'm Palestinian, I'm also Jewish. I find great solidarity in Judaism. And I forgot which poet, but in the Paris Review, there was a poet who said that I cannot separate the art of poetry from prayer, and I must agree. This is not a profession of religion, nor a profession of even a belief in God, but rather a profession of grief, crying out to whatever may be almighty, even if I know my might will do in the future, because my might does not do now. Here we go. I will read it in the English, not the Hebrew. Lord, who is the creator of all children, hear our prayer this accursed day. God, whom we call blessed, turn your face to these, the children of Gaza, that they may know your blessings and your shelter, that they may know light and warmth, where there is now only blackness and smoke and a cold which cuts and pinches the skin. Almighty, who makes exceptions which we call miracles, make an exception for the children of Gaza. Shield them from us and from every harm. Spare them, heal them, let them stand in safety. Deliver them from hunger and horror and fury and grief. Deliver them from us and from the bombs. Restore to them their stolen childhoods, their birthright, which is a taste of heaven. Be that Lord, the God of our kinsman Ishmael, who hears his cry and sent his angel to comfort his mother, Hagar. And she went and sat at a distance, a bowshot away, for she thought, let me not look on as the child dies. And sitting thus afar, she burst into tears. God heard the cry of the boy, and an angel of God calling to Hagar from heaven, and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heeded the cry of the boy where he is. Be that Lord who was with Ishmael that day, and all the days after. Be that God the all-merciful who opened Hagar's eyes that day, and showed her the well of water, which he could give the boy Ishmael to drink and save his life. Allah, whose name we call Elohim, who gives life, who knows the value and fragility of every life. Send these children your angels. Save them, the children of this place. Gaza the most beautiful, Gaza the damned. In the day with the trepidation, rage and mourning that is called genocide, seize our hearts and patches them in scars. We call to you, the Lord, whose name is peace, shalom. Bless these children and keep them from harm. Turn your face towards them, O Lord. Show them as if for the first time light and kindness and overwhelming graciousness. Look at them, O Lord. Let them see your face. And as for the first time, grant them peace, please.